Good morning. I am Andrea Cooley, one of the owners of Des Moines Mom, and today we are so excited to be starting a new series that we are calling Mental Health Mondays. We have just seen, and I'm sure you all have as well, that it has been a hard year. Mental health is a topic that people are just talking about, and as we are struggling with winter doldrums, with pandemic fears, just lots of things are weighing on our minds, and mental health is just such an important topic. So we are excited to be here today with Shay Schultz. You may recognize her as one of our contributors, but she is also a licensed therapist. So I'm going to have Shay just introduce herself and what she does, and then we're just going to talk about mental health and motherhood and how important it is to be on top of your mental health. So thank you, Shay.
Yes, thank you for having me. Like Andrea said, I'm Shay, and I am a licensed mental health counselor, and I have a private practice located in West Des Moines. And so in my practice, I see children all the way to adults with various issues, anxiety, depression, trauma. And so one of my areas of focus is trauma. But again, I see a lot of people with just a lot of different presentations and difficulties. So yeah.
Great. So I think, before we started recording, we were just talking about how I think the stigma of, needing mental health or, having problems with mental health, it's starting to lessen, but I think there still just is a stigma around it. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on, the importance of mental health and why it shouldn't be something that you are, feel embarrassed about.
Yeah, for sure. I think we definitely have come a long way. Just like having this, for example, is an example of people are talking about mental health more, but there is still this stigma attached to it. And I think as far as like for women and moms, it's more of, asking for help. Is There's that stigma around that. And so that can be hard. And so it's just really important to remember to kind of think about our mental health as being just as important as physical health. We all take care of our physical health, go to our yearly medical appointments. And so thinking about our mental health in just that same way can be kind of helpful to kind of overcome some of those stigmas. But it is hard for a lot of women, I think, to kind of reach out and get that support and help.
Yes, I can completely relate. As moms, we just feel like we need to have everything together. We're taking care of our kids and our families and making sure that they are thriving. But I think we all know at the end of the day, if we aren't thriving, then we can't be the best moms that we, can be.
Yes.
So what would be some like common issues that you see moms struggling with, or if somebody's listening and thinking like, oh, maybe some, counseling would be beneficial to me?
Yeah, I see a lot of common things that women come into my office. They are wearing all these different hats and have all these different roles. They carry a lot in their family, taking care of the kids, the home, and then a lot of them are working too. And so that is it's just a lot. And on top of we're doing that all on the background of a pandemic. And so, like you said, this last year has been so hard for so many people. And so, it's just kind of those issues that women face are being just compounded this year, I think, with everything going on. And so, yeah, that feeling of, I'm doing everything for everybody, and being so worn thin. And then can also lead to feeling like if we are not meeting where we think we should be, or it can bring feelings of failure or like we're not good enough. And so those can be some really tough issues that I think a lot of women can experience in
Yeah.
motherhood.
So how, so we're talking about mental health and, maybe someone is feeling like, okay, I'm super overwhelmed, but how, maybe they also think, but how is going to therapy going to help? Like it's not really that bad. Things will get easier. Um, I don't need to go to counseling.
Yes, I
How
think that's a
that?
yeah, I think that's a common thing. Get a lot of people that come in and they're like, I don't even know if I should be here, or I feel like I'm just complaining, or are my problems big enough? And so I think that's a completely valid kind of feeling that a lot of people have when they first start counseling. And so, really, I always tell people counseling is a way to kind of bounce things off with a third party, an unbiased person that doesn't know anything really about you. That you can bounce those things off, process through some of those thoughts and feelings, and then get some feedback back from somebody that can be really valuable. Even just like tossing those things back and forth about how you're thinking or how you're feeling about certain things can be really helpful and give you some new insights
That's
into kind of how you've been feeling. And that can be really helpful for a lot of people.
I think that, yeah, I think that's great. And I had shared with Shay, I have personally benefited from counseling. And, but another question I think I would have is, so if someone thinks, okay, I'm ready to talk to someone, how long is it going to take? Or, how many, what am I signing myself up for? Um,
Yeah.
and I would imagine that it can vary, but if you could
Yeah.
speak to that.
It can vary. And I think it's very individual, but I mean, you can kind of like when you go in and if you start that process, kind of talking to that therapist about kind of those expectations, or some people don't even know, like, is this going to be a short term thing
Mhm.
or more long term? And I will tell you, I have seen clients where we kind of jump in and can kind of do a couple sessions and they're like, okay, I think I got it. Like I
Mhm.
gained some new insights, I learned some new coping skills, and I feel like I can go on my way. And then I have people that really benefit from a more long-term situation, and where they'll check in once a month or every couple weeks just to make sure that everything's going okay. So it really can vary, but it doesn't have to be long drawn out either. It can be, you just might want to touch base with somebody for a few sessions and maybe learn some coping skills or different ways of managing stress, and then be on your way.
That's great. I think that's good to know too, that, just because sign up to do this a couple
Yeah.
of times, it doesn't mean that you're going to be doing it forever. But if
Oh,
something long-term benefits you, but that's a
yeah.
possibility too.
Yes.
Great. I think this is really helpful information. So if someone is listening and thinking, okay, I think maybe I would benefit from counseling, what do I do now? What are kind of some next steps that you would give for them?
Yeah. So finding that counselor or therapist can feel kind of overwhelming, I think, for a lot of people. That's one of the number one kind of feedback I get is like, I don't even know where to start in finding somebody. And so I always tell people ask around, like trusted friends or family, if they know of anybody. Sometimes, even if like a friend or your family member is seeing somebody, maybe you don't want to see that same therapist, but that therapist may be able to give names of other people that they would recommend. So that's a good place to start, is just your friends and family.
Mhm.
See who they go to or who they've heard about. But also, if you do have insurance, you can look up therapists that take your insurance and get a whole list of their names, their address, their phone number, or their contact information. And so that's a really easy way to look up and get kind of that head start of finding somebody as well.
And I think that's a good point too, that a lot of insurance plans do cover
Yes.
counseling or therapy. So you may just have a copay, or you don't think that, okay, I need therapy, this is going to cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right.
Um, there definitely are benefits that cover those. So
Yes. So check into, if you do have insurance, check into your benefits and see what's covered. Like I said, a lot of insurance companies do carry that mental health benefits. And so, yeah, there's maybe just a small copay or whatnot. So that's a really good place to start too if you're thinking about exploring that option.
Yeah. And I would imagine, are you meeting clients in person right now, or with the pandemic, have you been doing virtual appointments? And I know that therapists will vary on this, but I think just because we are still in the middle of a pandemic, don't think, well, I can't go meet someone.
Yes, well, that's a good question. I think I'm right now only doing virtual,
Mhm.
but I know I have like a running list of client or of other therapists that are also only virtual. But then I also have a running list of therapists that are seeing clients in person. So there are some people that prefer virtual and some that prefer in person. And so that way, if somebody reaches out to me, and if I'm not seeing if I'm not seeing clients in person, I can give them some names of people that I know that are seen in person. So it does vary, but a lot of therapists are, if they have a website, will say like, I'm only seeing clients in person or only virtual or whatever. And so that can help narrow it down too as you're looking.
Yeah. Well, this is lots of good information, and hopefully it is helpful for people listening. Just if they're curious about therapy or what they might benefit from. If you all have questions, please drop them in the comments below, and we'll also link to Shay's website if you're interested, in just possibly working with her or getting recommendations from her. She is happy to help.
Yes.
So. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Shay. Do you have anything else to
Thank
add?
you. I don't think so. I think it's just making sure that you're taking care of yourself. I've been telling all my clients that we're in winter, which is tough because there's less daylight, and we're just not seeing as many people. We're not getting outside as much. And then you have the pandemic as well. And so this year is incredibly important to just pay attention to your mental health, and reaching out if you need to is
Yeah.
just really important right
Yeah.
now.
And just, reiterating, um, there is no shame in talking to someone. I mean, you don't need to feel less than. Like I said, I have benefited immensely from mental health, and I think, yeah, if you need help, you need to ask. So
Yeah.
people
I
are
think everybody should have a therapist.
there.
It's
Yes.
helpful.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.